driving up to a temple here in a minute. Kind of an interesting traditional Thai structure of some kind. This is kind of a pretty little spot. It's a nice little lake. Not that many lakes in Thailand that I've seen. Central Thailand anyways. I'm used to Michigan. There's a lake every 10 feet. Kind of interesting. Kind of a typical medium-sized road. See how close the vehicles pass. You gotta get used to that. Car full of Thais. This is how we travel. I trust I have your sympathy at this point. They're not bad, actually. They're not bad. Alright, well, here we are. TY at the temple. What? Lek mai? I had one, yes, it's small, and one, they're not sure. It does look a little small, maybe. Another typical little street here. As we buy what? Go to the temple.
GPS ซ้ายเล็กน้อยแล้วเลี้ยวขวามีไก่ด้วยเดินทางตะวันออกเฉียงใต้อีก400 เมตรเลี้ยวขวา
You can generally tell how much money somebody has by the wall around their house. That wall's nicer than most by a lot. A little bit wealthier family, almost certainly. It's kind of like a car in the United States. You know how much money somebody makes almost always by the car they drive. Most people maximize that, and same with the wall in Thailand. It's kind of funny. Bus. Big bus. Yeah, we're coming up on a restaurant here. We're not hungry, but that's a fairly typical restaurant. Oh, this must be the main temple. Right. Temples are always surrounded by a fancy wall for some reason. And they have these kind of fancy entrance ways too. And most temples have ongoing construction. They build more temple buildings or sculpture, statues of Buddha, things like that. Typically it's just expansion. Typically expansion and just kind of ongoing. Well, this is very clever. They paint them as they build them top down, which I think is, don't have to do the scaffolding twice. Very clever. They do all these sculptures and things. So here we are. I'll get the name of the temple here. I'll probably have it in front of this, but that's a traditional little wood Thai house. Kind of tempting to think about one of those. A lot of expats think about it. They're really cheap to build and all that, but I have one word for you: termites. They have some kind of atomic freaking termite here that just eats just about everything except concrete and plastic and steel. Typical prayer ritual: you shake the cup and a stick falls out, and that corresponds to a number in a prayer. And you come over to the corresponding number in prayer and prediction, and that's your like a zodiac thing. That's your future or whatever. It's generally taken pretty seriously here, so no joke. They just defense different things, and people leave favorite pieces of food and cook fancy things. And of course, money is the most common. And Thais give pretty generously to the temples. They do. This is a pretty typical, smaller little, I'll call it a prayer room. These old pieces of wood, you see them around, must be from the old temples or something. But you always see those. Prior attendees here, got a guy in a wheelchair. I think they were praying for him for his recovery or health or something. Very common, very common. People have something big to ask, they'll leave a bigger gift and all that. Very common. This temple is Temple Wat Cha-Om. Wat means temple, so Temple Cha-Om. We're still in Korat. You can look it up. But there's little temples are everywhere. For some reason they wanted to go to this one in particular. I don't know if I'll be able to discern that. I mean, I deliberately didn't eat today because I was taking her family to a really nice, really highly regarded restaurant in Korat. And then as we're driving, I was told, oh, it's dinner. So then I had to stop at 7-Eleven and just get a hamburger. So that's every day here. You will have misunderstandings every day. And again, my girlfriend speaks phenomenal English and my Thai is not too bad. And it doesn't matter about language. It's just the way they do things here. It's just very different. Here you see everybody praying. The kids are easily distracted. They're, again, the male children are extremely indulged. But there you can manage them. They latch onto you. They attach quickly, same as the Thai ladies, and they want your approval and all that. And you get ultimate veto power and everything. And there's Kunpa again. Just survive took one. Happy every day. I'm sure the idea is that this looks like jade, polished jade. I'm sure it's a poured resin because usually you see a green one, but then occasionally you'll see a red one. They're very pretty though, not to take away from the beauty. And as a guy who's owned 2 plastics factories before, making this would be no small feat. The craftsmanship by the monks is quite impressive, and makes me wonder how come so much of the craftsmanship in Thailand is just of a lower quality. I can't think of a nice way to say it, or a nice way to say it, but anyways, that's this prayer room here. Your typical prayer session, you finish up outside with some incense. I've just kind of noticed that pattern a little bit. By the way, I'm wearing my brand new hat that I bought at Centron Plaza, at the mall at Centron Plaza today, and looked at a couple different choices, and son of a gun, my girlfriend picked the best looking one again. You know, I was going to buy one and she goes, it's a little small for you, and then only after she said that did I notice, damn, it is a little small. So, plus it had a TikTok logo on the other one, and I had my heart broken on TikTok last year. Let's just leave it at that. But broken. But hey, we're here, we're doing good. Undoubtedly, this must be the name of the temple. I see the little location icon there, so that's got to be that. I don't read or write Thai. I've done a little teeny tiny bit, but I cannot read or write it. I could decipher it, but it would take me 20 minutes to know what this says, and none of us wants to spend that kind of time. Well, they're finishing up with their prayers inside. Not that I do respect it. That's their religion, and I do respect it. And they're very respective of mine. I'll just say that I consider myself a Christian, and we'll leave it at that. But onto this little house here. So these little wood houses, you can buy these as prefab kits, and they're quite cheap. And by quite cheap, I mean in the $5,000 range. And you can get good craftsmanship on them. And all that. But again, those atomic termites, you might be thinking, but gosh, Rob, there's teak there. There's other types of exotic hardwoods that are very insect resistant. And of course, there's treated lumber. The insects will eat your treated lumber for breakfast here. I know quite a bit about treated lumber. I was in that industry for quite a while. Not specifically just treated lumber only, but building materials. And I'm aware of all the processes, even the new fancy heat treat sugar conversion one. And as far as I know, the insects here will eat everything. They just don't care. We'll go look at this other construction, this temple under construction. Kind of neat. Rain's going to be coming, so I'm gonna get right to looking at this construction here. As I said on the way in, they seem to do the paint and a lot of the detail work as they finish the construction from top down, which I think is clever. And again, the Thais are very clever people. They do a lot with a little. I see old DVDs and CDs dangled from the back of trucks as reflectors. Rebar used in all kinds of crazy ways. You know, they really, they've got ways of making a ladder out of 2 pieces of bamboo and then rebar for the rungs. And the fitment required to make that ladder actually hold would be very tight. And somehow they managed to do it. It's really quite impressive. And this is really beautiful to me, you know. It's very beautiful. And they're making these sculptures here. I don't take the as a religious awe. To me, I don't pray to any of these things, of course, anything like that. That's not my personal religion, but I can appreciate the workmanship, and the workmanship is interesting, and particularly in a land with such an imprecise language, as told to me by language experts. That's not me dissing on someone's language. It is imprecise. They say it's very difficult to do science and math with the Thai language. They, at a certain level, they often switch to English or another language. So there's some, they're poor, and so there's some factors working against these people, and yet they pull this stuff off. So I think that's cool. And this is pretty typical. There's that to me almost looks like a school building over there. I don't know if that one is a little empty. I haven't seen a building look like that before. But notice all the selfie spots kind of around here. Coffee shops have those. Schools have those. Restaurants are big on that. Everything is selfie and social media driven. And again, you cannot eavesdrop on someone's conversation and report it. If you hear something and keep it to yourself, that happens. But if you start talking about it, the privacy laws here are very strong. You really need to keep that in mind. And you do not gossip about a Thai citizen, really, other than in private. And I would never gossip about a member of the government or the royal family or a friend of the royal family. I wouldn't even say that. I won't even say that in private. I will not. And most of my friends the same way. They might look at me. Nobody will say a word. That's a no-go on that one, guys. People will gossip somebody and then demand money on Facebook. That's common. They have to have some kind of a claimed reason, but they can almost, well, I can't say make something up, but something could be grossly exaggerated or whatever, and then now there's a problem. And again, someone attempted to do this to me very briefly, and I just let them know that I just did not care, because I did not care. I didn't do anything. It was a guy I know did something, and he, I couldn't say a close friend, just a guy I know, and that was it. And they tried for a while and then left me alone. So it does happen. Nobody's perfect, not even the Thais. Here's my girlfriend and her family finishing up their prayers. Fawn was probably praying something about our relationship. So sweet, so very cute. She always says that. There's Paul again. I'm kind of in the background like him, just kind of chilling. Taking shelter under this very nice tree here. The rain's coming down a little bit, light but steady rain. They're still doing it. As I recall, and then what I've seen in the past, is they typically wait until the incense is burned to a certain level before they leave it. So I may be here for a little bit, but I'll just wrap this up probably here. I'll show you. Here's another. This is the other, probably the exit way. We came in the other way. Very ornate, very pretty. They're peaceful, they're quiet. I think anyone's welcome here anytime. I know back in the day, expats and foreign tourists would come here and backpack through Thailand, and you could sleep at the temple free of charge, and you'd leave them some money or something, and then you'd maybe buy them some breakfast or something like that or whatever. And people did that on the super cheap. Thailand is still safe enough you could do that. You could even, I dare even say, even a woman alone or a couple of young ladies alone could probably do that and be okay. It's just violent crime is virtually non-existent outside of the big cities. On the TV at night, there's stuff from, it's always in Bangkok or Pattaya a lot, where the foreigners are, and there's trouble. It's us, we're bad guys. It's the money we bring and the disparity of wealth, and it just gets people upset and it just creates problems. You know, I'll leave that to the sociologists, but out in just the real Thai culture, they're just not violent people. Like I said, I've cautioned before about, you know, they can flip in a second, but that's when people have been real idiots. I mean, you really are asking. You get that beating, man. You really asked for it. You put the time in to get that beating. They won't. They really are hesitant. They're just not a. Violence is just so frowned upon here. And ironically, they're the regional military power, which is kind of odd. Anyways, all right, I'm gonna wrap this up, and maybe the rains encourage them to speed it up.